What is going on, guys? Carter here with Edge Mindset. This is going to be a long video, so pause this, get a comfy chair, go get yourself some coffee, maybe something even stronger, little snacks, because we're going to be in this one for the long haul. I am running through every single cold steel knife I have. Now, a couple things I want to discuss before I start. One, interestingly enough, my cold steel collection is the largest brand collection that I have. I have more cold steels than any other knife. Couple reasons for that. I like cold steel more so in the past than right now. Really always been a fan of Andrew Demko, his designs, and I like stuff that's wild and weird and fun and interesting. And to me, cold steel kind of brought fun back into knives and pocket knives. Another reason, they tend to be very moderately priced, so I'm less motivated to try to sell them. Like all of these Voyagers here, I would get, I don't know, $20, and I would have to go through the hassle of posting pictures and boxing it up and shipping it out and keeping track of shipping. So I'm just less motivated to sell my cold steels. So they kind of have just been accumulating. And by the way, this is not even close to my collection. I'm going to do something different on this video. Rather than try to shoot my whole case and pull stuff out one by one, I'm just going to take big chunks of it and put it on the table here. That's for selfish reasons, because it's way more comfortable for me to shoot like this than to try to stand with my camera stand cranked all the way up to the top. And I don't know. This is just going to be better. So let's get into it. So these are kind of my, I don't know, junkers, right? Like these are the old school Voyagers. We got the XL clip point. Another thing I want to point out is I might get some of these names wrong because I didn't do a dry run on these. So this is all coming from just memory of what I think these models are, the sizes, stuff like that. But this is the Voyager clip point XL with the Grivery handle, very texturous. This is a knife. Not this size, but this is a knife that I recommend to a lot of knife normies that are looking for an inexpensive like camping folder or something. Usually like this large size, probably the clip point. I recommend this one a lot. Very sturdy, very cheap, very lightweight, made well. These are all in AUS 10, I believe, or maybe AUS 8. Not even stamped. These are old. I've had these forever. We got is this the Vaquero? I forget what this blade shape is called, but it's absolutely wicked. This is the large size, which is probably I want to say my favorite size, but I guess the amount that I have in my collection would beg to differ. Here's the exact same knife in an XL. They're so much fun. They're so cool. Here's another one, XL Tanto, once again, AUS 8 or AUS 10. These are the old school ones before... not even before cold steel sold, but before they kind of did their upgrade of steels and things like that. This is kind of like OG triad lock cold steel stuff here. This is the only cold steel fixed blade that I have. I think I got it free from like Smoky Mountain Knife Works or something with a big order. This one's an 8CR13 MOV. Made in China, cold steel made in China. You don't see Chinese-made cold steels all that often, and you don't see 8CR13 MOV used that much anymore. It's still around, just not used as much. This is the Counterpoint XL full serration. What steel we rocking? So this is a newer one. You can see the new logo there. So this is AUS 10A, not AUS 8. Very cool. Grivery handles. Just a big, nasty beast. Then we've got, what is this one called? This is the Luzon. This is another Chinese-made one, I believe. Oh, 8CR13 MOV. So I stand corrected. I say something's not that common, and then I have two of them in my very first collection here. Crazy, crazy pocket clip on this thing. Look how big that is. Just kind of cool, though. Liner lock with a extra locking mechanism. I've tightened this down quite a bit. Cool knife. This is a knife that I wish they would do a premium version of. I really like the look of this handle. It would be cool if they could kind of mill this in G10 and do a nicer version of this and better steel. I also really like this blade profile. The action's pretty good. It's a little wonky though. The pressure on that lock bar is wild, and getting it centered was a bit of a chore, but still very cool. And then we've got the tie light here in the Chris Blade full serrated This one is just wild. OS 10. This one's in Taiwan. Liner lock. Now, what I don't love about this one is this lock is pretty slippery, trying to move this over. And they do this bent tab thing, which is kind of cool. But this really, there's no traction on here at all. So it looks like that's in an effort to make it easier to unlock. But in my experience, it is not very easy to unlock. But once again, just a big, wild, bonkers cold steel knife. The tie lock, which is originally called, or no, the tie light, originally called the tie light because the first version was made out of titanium. They don't do that anymore, so the whole tie thing has kind of lost its meaning. But that's why it was called the tie light, because it was made of titanium. And this is back when titanium production knives were very, very rare. All right, on to the next batch. By the way, these are in no particular order. I'm just pulling them out of the case, so, it's not going to follow any kind of, this, 80-10 style or this style. It's just all completely random. Up at the top here, we've got the 5 Max. Bonkers of a knife, 5-inch blade, Andrew Demko design. This was done after Demko was no longer an employee with Cold Steel. So this is technically an official kind of collaboration piece. For those that don't know, Andrew Demko was swooped up by Lynn Thompson early in his knife-making career. Lynn saw potential there, hired him into Cold Steel, and so Andrew Demko, the guy that made the 80-20, the Shark Lock, the 80-10, all that stuff, was just an employee. He was an employee at Cold Steel, and that's where he invented the Triad Lock, and he designed the 80-10. So there's a lot of confusion on where does Andrew Demko start and stop, and where does he fit in with Cold Steel. So this was done after he left Cold Steel, which is why he has his actual name on here, because it's a collaboration piece with the 5 Max that he did after he left that. And it's bonkers, it's huge, it's ridiculous, but I actually really, really like it. I love that green G10 and the Stonewash PBD blade. This one is, I think, S35? Yes, S35VN. Really cool knife. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but then again, most of these aren't. We've got another 80-10 here. Regular size. This is post Cold Steel selling, and it's just, black PBD or whatever the coating is, and green G10 handles just like the last one, just a regular sized drop point. Next we have another 80-10 in Tanto. A little bummed on this one. I dropped it and I dinged up that front edge right there. Need to sharpen it and see if I can fix that out, but very cool. You don't really, getting a Tanto 80-10 is pretty difficult. When Andrew does customs, he doesn't do a lot of Tantos. They're very, very rare. Now, you're going to want to shield your eyes. I have to apologize in advance. I got a little stupid with this one. So I decided to go ham on the limited edition Cold Steel 80-10 titanium handle. Beat the ever-living piss out of it. It is all scratched up. Just use the crap out of this thing. Where you do things you shouldn't do just because you're like, I just want to see how well it cuts or how well the edge will last and things like that. And you go a little wild. I went wild with this thing. But to add insult to injury, I decided that I would practice freehand sharpening with this particular knife. And you can see how ugly that edge is. That is the ugliest edge I have ever seen in my life. However, the funny thing is, it is pretty damn sharp. It is hair shaving sharp. So sharp edge, but ugly as hell. So that goes to show, just because it's an ugly edge doesn't mean it can't be sharp, because this absolutely is sharp. It just looks really, really gross. What is this one called? This is the budget version of the SR1, the SR1 Lite. This is in, OS 10, 8CR13 MOV. In Taiwan. Chinese steel sent to Taiwan. Interesting. I didn't even really realize it. These are cool. I used to have the more premium version of this, and it's one of the few Cold Steels I sold, and I kind of regret it. But this one's very cool too. It's just a beater. Throw it in your truck, throw it in your tackle box, whatever, doesn't matter, right? It's not that expensive. Here is an old Recon 1 that I had from way back in the day. So this is I think Os 8 on this one here. And it's when they had that really nasty, like shiny coating on the blade. Carried and used this one a lot. We're talking, I've had this one for probably like 12 or 13 years, something like that. And I used to really like cold steel about that time ago, and I used to carry them and use them a lot. And this is one of the ones that I carried and used a whole bunch, and I still have it, which is cool, right? Haven't sold it, haven't got rid of it, still have it. Here is a regular counterpoint, regular size. This is an older one, Os 8, I believe. Grivery handle, just like the XL I have, just more reasonable in size. All right, next batch. Okay, we got a couple of bangers here, a couple of cool ones. First up, we have one of two of my Atlas lock knives. This is the Engage. I forget the size, so it has this Atlas lock. Probably one of the uglier knives in my collection. These things are just goofy as hell with this prong that sticks all the way down. I guess they're trying to just not have the top of this hang out. You know, this Atlas lock mechanism is very strong. It's pretty easy to use, but it's problematic. It's placed really low. And so it's fine for giant knives, but when you start getting into more compact knives, it can be kind of difficult to actuate this thing. And it's also very bulky, which pushes this pivot out, and it just makes for a weird proportioned knife. Very smooth, you know, nice high quality knife, but goofy as hell and kind of weird to use. You got this choil, but the choil almost wants to push your finger onto the edge. Just kind of an oddball knife, but I've got it. The Engage here, this one is in S35, so it's kind of their more premium line kind of thing. I really like this one. We have a Tanto Recon 1. This is the upgraded version. You can see how it has more of a matte finish on the black instead of the shiny Teflon finish. S35 with the tan G10. You know, just a cool classic tactical knife with the insane triad lock. Very, very lightweight. If you are not a cold steel person, I think you would be surprised at how lightweight these G10 models are. You can see there's no liners. It's just thick G10 with the lock back. Just a good, affordable, all-around, no-nonsense, heavy-duty tactical knife. All right, now we've got an AK-47. This is a newer one with DLC-coated blade, I believe. I think that's DLC. S35, this is the upgraded version. Just kind of a cool knife. It's a little obnoxious. It's a little Mall Ninja. It's a little, you know, Rambo. You've got the bullet right there. But still, I don't know. I like it. I like the thumb disc. I like how it works as a wave feature. I like the triad lock. This obnoxious, I don't know, pommel piece is just kind of annoying, but it is what it is. It's the AK-47. It just has a special place in my heart, in the cold steel heart, which is why I've got 3 of them. So this is an old school cold steel. This is pre-triad lock. This is when they had their version of the Access lock. I forget what they called it. Ultra lock, mega lock, something like that. It's actually a little more robust in the way that it locks up. It's within the tang here. You can see it doesn't ride on the outside of the tang. It also has a cool, like, industrial look with the screw head type things on there. But it's very much the same in overall action as the Access lock with the Omega type springs in there. Story goes that, you know, like you would imagine, Cold Steel got some flack and some pushback from Benchmade on using that lock, and so they ditched it. I bought this pretty much how it is. I got this out of a bargain bin. A friend was selling a box full of knives, and most of them were junk, but this one was in there. So somebody loved the ever-loving crap out of this knife and used it, which is awesome, and I picked it up. So this is the aluminum version. Now I also have a minty fresh G10 version featuring the same lock from the same time, but this one was never used, or at least not substantially, and is kind of cool to have both of these here. We got the G10 version and we got the aluminum version. One is all beat up and one is brand new. In fact, this one's still needing to be broken in. It's still a little stiff on that lock there. All right, moving right along. We've got Spartan number 1. This one is in CTS BD1. It's kind of their budget Spartan. Stonewash blade, 3/4 ground, hollow ground. Yeah, that's hollow. Very slight hollow grind. Still very thick behind the edge. This is another cool one I always like, this Copus style blade, which, by the way, this was designed by Andrew, as most cold steel knives from this era were, and he just recently debuted a Copus style blade for his 80/20 line, which is pretty cool. Grivery handles, and it has this caveman style texturing on here, which I assume was lifted from Mixed Rider Customs in the 2000. Oh, I don't know the exact dates. Early 2000s, 2000 to 2005 or something. Mixed Strider and Dwayne Dwyer of Strider Knives used this style of texturing on their titanium knives quite frequently on their customs. And Cold Steel seems to have lifted that on here. But who knows? Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe Cold Steel came up with this and Strider saw this and started using it. I don't think that's the case, but you never know. Triad lock, again, just very cool. Wicked, like this handle, it just locks your hand in. It's a wild knife, and it feels kind of strange in hand, but it is just really freaking cool, in my opinion. I love it. Here is another one, Spartan number 2. This one has a full flat grind, full serrated. This thing gave me a nasty cut when I was scrolling on my phone and not paying attention. Os 10A gray grivery, just a little bit different with the satin blade. Same knife, but just a tad bit different than the standard black one, which is pretty cool, at least in my opinion. Here is a black Talon. This thing is super wicked. The only thing that would make this better is if it was full serrated, which they do make. I just didn't get that version. This one is rocking the CTS XHP, which was a really cool era for Cold Steel. I wish I had more of the CTS XHP knives. This might be the only one I have. Very thin handle, very lightweight. No liners again on this G10. Just a defense-oriented, nasty knife. This thing really has one purpose, and that is self-defense. Now, obviously, you can open Amazon packages with it. It does really good with this hook right here, but that's not the primary purpose of this. It is a defense-oriented type knife, and just kind of a cool thing for the collection, I think. Here we have a Talwar XL. This is an old one, full flat grind, G10 handles. This one, this might be a CTS XHP. It's from that era. This is the premium version. It just does not have it stamped. I'm not sure. This might be another one. Hard to say. I'd have to look it up. I had this one forever. I've carried it. I've carried most of these knives. I have. No shame in saying that. I've carried most of these knives. Here we have a Frenzy. Really cool G10 on this. Black and blue. Super lightweight again. No liners. These G10 triad lock knives. I mean, the strength to weight ratio is off the charts on these. Very, very cool. S35 VN. Extremely long reach. Nice kind of slight hawkbill blade here with a cool fuller. Stupid name, stupid font, Frenzy. Man, some of these are just beyond cheesy, but I love them anyways. Here we have the Raja 3. I love the Raja. I only wish there was a size in between this mini and the full size. The whole Raja series is kind of different. Usually they do 3 sizes, 1, 2, and 3, which is a large, medium, small, or whatever you want to call it, medium, large, extra large. But with the Raja series, they did it a little bit differently. I've got a Raja 2 in here I'll be pulling out soon, or at least I hope it's in there. The Raja 1 is just the dressed version of the Raja 2, essentially. It had, the bolsters, the aluminum bolsters. I've also got a, we'll see it. I don't need to say it. We're going to look at it. Now we got a couple of big boys. We've got the 4 Max here. There's been a bunch of different versions of this. This is the only one I have right now, but I've owned every single version of the 4 Max, including the USA made one. I really wish I still had that. So the very first 4 Max that they released was made in the United States, which, it was cool at the time, but I don't think, anybody realized just how unique that was, because they've really done nothing like that since. So it would have been cool to have the original 4MAX made in the USA. After that, they did the Italian version, and now we've got the Taiwan version, and then they've got kind of this premium one, and then they've got the, what do they call it? I just read it. I can't remember. The field version or whatever, kind of the inexpensive one. So very cool. 4MAX 4-inch blade, although I swear with these AD10 style knives, as they upscale, the proportion between the blade and the handle gets worse and worse. That is one of the telltale things with Andrew Demko's designs, is stubby blades and long handles. It's just kind of, I don't know if he likes that aesthetic. I know some of it has to do with the mechanisms he uses. It kind of limits where you can put that pivot, but I think he can get more blade than he does a lot of the time. But I don't know. What do I know? I'm not an engineer. I'm not a knife designer. Here is one of my favorites, the Raja 2 Grivery handles. I assume 10A on this one. Yep. Just a massive beast of a knife, folding kukri. Not as heavy as you would think, but still very substantial. This has aluminum liners in it. The Grivery handles usually have some sort of liners just because, the Grivery is not that stout. But the cool thing about this one is it has a really light spring on the triad lock. I don't know why, but it is a absolute pleasure to unlock this one. Sometimes those triad locks can be very, very stiff and difficult, but on this one, it feels really, really good. Now this is where we're heading into mega ridiculousness. This has the Atlas lock, and it actually works really well for such a large knife. You can get to it very easily. But this is the Mayhem. This is the knife that looks like a kindergarten kid would design. It is probably one of the uglier knives in my collection. It's definitely towards the top, and it just bit me. Man, these things are freaking sharp. So right there, just barely glanced me and it bit me. Number 229, this is the first release that they did. Kind of the limited edition version. Whatever. It's kind of cool. S35VN, black and red G10. It is just a big, dumb knife with weird notches on the spine for some reason. I don't know. The proportions on this thing are dumb. It is ugly as hell. Like, whatever's going on here, I don't know, but I absolutely love it. It is a folding guillotine. It's crazy, and I'm here for it. Now we have an Espada. This is one of my favorites. I used to have this way back in the day, and I sold it, and when they re-released these, I had to get it. Man, these bolsters really scratch up, don't they? This is the kind of dressed up version like they originally debuted. Aluminum bolsters, I think I already said that, polished. And then you've got micarta, polished micarta, contoured scales. This is the knife that's in the first Expendables movie that Mickey Rourke throws at the dartboard. Just a very cool knife, and it reminds me of my early days of knife loving. Very cool. So a lot of these knives, like the Raja, this is what I was talking about. The Raja one is built like this, at these same materials, but this size. And then they stopped making them for a very long time. So I'm glad they brought them back, and I was able to get one. Okay, we are about done. This is the last batch of knives, and I really put a lot of effort into going through my house and making sure I grabbed everything. Although I can almost guarantee I've got one or two cold steels in some box in the basement or something like that. But I think I got most of them. Kind of an oddball collection here. So this is an old, still bleeding, my bad. This is an old Talwar large, I think. Once again, this is old school cold steel. It's been sharpened. It's been used. I think it's probably AUS 8. Just had it forever. That's one of the things I like about cold steel is it's, like I said at the beginning, it's one of the few knife collections that I don't dump pieces of because it's just not worth the effort. Like, it's not worth me trying to sell this knife. I don't even know if I could. If I sold it for $10, I don't know if I could sell this knife for $10, especially being carried and sharpened. I don't know. Maybe I'll, sometimes I give them away. I've given cold steels away to friends and things like that. But yeah, I don't think I'll sell them because it's not worth the effort, at least with a lot of them. Here we have an Espada XL stonewashed with black G10. This is rocking the AUS 10A, of course. just everybody has to have at least one of these. I had to get two. It is a folding sword. It is bonkers. It's ridiculous. I want to do a video cutting to Tommy mats with this, and it's been slated for like a year, and I just haven't put forth the effort to do it. Man, sucker's just bleeding. Here is another one, exact same thing, but it has the dark matte finish on the blade with the green handles. I love the green and black. Os 10A again, monster knife. Monster knife, very, very cool. You got to be careful with these things though. Here we have a tiger claw, very similar to the Black Talon, defense oriented. This one just has a loop on here for safety, as well as doing cool tricks and things you do with a karambit style blade. S35VN, Taiwan, G10, ultralight, just a nasty, wicked blade with the wave feature. I know you can't call it wave feature, that's Emerson, but with the tab here, the whatever it's called, that allows you to open this thing up. And it's got a nice little divot in here so you can kind of really get in there. Sometimes on these, they don't open that well because there's just not enough space underneath that disc there. But with this one, it works pretty well. And last, we have 8015, another knife that Demko invented a lock for, the Scorpion lock. You can see it's on the outside. Pin fits right into that slot there. Just a cool knife. He's done versions of these outside of Cold Steel. He's done machine ground and custom versions of these, although it's been a long time. G10 handle, really like this texture. One thing with these is they just get filthy. Like this little ledge here on this aluminum lock bar just gets filthy. This one's very smooth, although I hear a lot of people say that theirs is not that smooth. That being said, the lockup on this one has a little bit of play, a little bit of wiggle, unless you're really squeezing right here. It does have a little bit of movement, but I don't think there's any chance of failure. You can see how deep this notch is that this stainless steel bar fits into. So very secure, but this one actually has a little bit of wiggle. But cool nonetheless. 8015, carried it and used it. You know, I've carried a lot of these and used a lot of these. So that's it. Those are all my Cold Steels. I know they are a bit of a love them or hate them kind of thing. A lot of people don't share my enthusiasm for Cold Steel knives. I'm a little bit of a person on a lonely island when it comes to them. And I've faced that my entire YouTube career. People just don't really like it when I show Cold Steels. So that's why I put off doing this video. But I wanted to wrap up my whole collection type stuff. And so this was it. This was the final piece, the final keystone. Comment down below. What do you think of Cold Steel? Do you like them? Do you love them? Do you think it's kind of cool? I don't know. I want to hear from you guys. Thanks for all your support. Couldn't do without you. Wouldn't want to anyways. You guys take care. I'm out.